The rain poured down on the glass windows of Kingston Enterprises, a billion-dollar company that had built its empire on steel, construction, and innovation. Inside, lights gleamed off the polished marble floors, but in one corner of the building, a man pushed a mop across the cold tiles. His name was Daniel Reyes, a janitor barely making minimum wage, a widower raising his little daughter, Sophia, on his own. No one ever noticed Daniel. To most of the executives, he was invisibly just another man in overalls who cleaned up after them. But Daniel noticed everything. He noticed the late-night meetings, the whispers in the corridors, the looks exchanged when they thought no one was watching. And one night, while he quietly emptied trash bins near the executive offices, he overheard something that chilled his heart. It was Victoria Hale, the stunning fiancée copyrightee of the young CEO, Ethan Kingston. Her voice was low but sharp as a knife. "He trusts me completely," she said into her phone, "and once the wedding is done, half of everything will be mine. Then you and I can disappear, and Ethan will be left with nothing." Daniel froze, his knuckles tightening on the mop handle. He didn't want to believe it. He had seen Ethan in the hall set, a man with a good heart, always kind to his employees, even greeting Daniel once when no one else did. But the venom in Victoria's voice was undeniable. For days, Daniel wrestled with himself. Who was he to interfere in the CEO's life? Who would believe a janitor's word over the glamorous woman everyone adored? He thought about keeping quiet. He thought about his daughter, about how much he needed the job. But his conscience gnawed at him until one late evening, when Ethan himself walked into the lobby, jacket slung over his shoulder after another long day. Daniel's voice was barely above a whisper as he approached. His hands trembled. "Sir," he said, "please forgive me for saying these a broken bar, but don't trust your fiancée copyrightee." Ethan stopped mid-step, his eyes narrowed, not in anger, but in shock. "What did you just say?" Daniel swallowed hard, his throat dry. He explained what he had overheard, every word, every detail. When he finished, silence fell between them. Daniel expected to be fired on the spot. He had just accused the future Mrs. Kingston of betrayal, something no man would want to hear. But Ethan didn't fire him. Instead, he stared into Daniel's eyes, searching, measuring. Finally, he said quietly, "Thank you," and he walked away. The next few days were tense. Ethan said nothing. The company buzzed with wedding preparations, and Victoria wore her perfect smile, greeting everyone as if she were already queen of the empire. Daniel regretted speaking. He worried every night that he had ruined his livelihood for nothing. But then, one evening, Ethan called Daniel into his office. The CEO's face was paled, his jaw tight. He looked like a man who had aged 10 years in a week. "Daniel," he said, "you were right. I hired someone to look into her. She wasn't just lying a broken bar, she's been scheming with my rival company for months." Daniel's chest tightened. He didn't know what to say. He had saved a man's entire life from destruction, yet he felt no pride, only sorrow that betrayal like that could exist. But Ethan wasn't finished. "Tomorrow, I'm calling off the wedding. I'll expose her in front of everyone, and I want you there." The next day was supposed to be the company's grand gala, a celebration of success. Hundreds of guests filled the hall, champagne glasses glittered, and photographers circled like hawks. Victoria was radiant in a designer gown, smiling at Ethan as though nothing could touch her. Then Ethan raised his glass for a toast. The crowd hushed. He spoke of loyalty, trust, and love, his words laced with pain. Then he turned to Victoria, and with the calmness of a man reclaiming his strength, he revealed everything: the secret calls, the hidden bank transfers, the betrayal. Gasps filled the room. Cameras flashed. Victoria's face went pale, then twisted into fury. But before she could defend herself, security escorted her out. The empire she had tried to steal crumbled in an instant. And then came the part that shocked everyone the most. Ethan walked off the stage, not toward his high-profile business partners or the press, but toward Daniela, the janitor standing quietly at the back of the hall. He put a hand on Daniel's shoulder and said into the microphone, "This man saved my life, my company, and my future." Never underestimate those who go unseen. Sometimes, the ones you overlook are the ones who carry the greatest wisdom. The hall erupted in applause. Daniel, embarrassed and overwhelmed, could barely hold back tears. For the first time, people saw him not as just a janitor, but as a man of courage and integrity. From that day forward, Ethan made sure Daniel and his daughter never struggled again. He promoted him to a special role within the company, a head of employee welfare, ensuring no one in the organization ever felt invisible or unheard again. As for Ethan, the betrayal cut deep, but he learned the most valuable lesson of all: wealth and power mean nothing without people you can truly trust. And Daniel, the poor janitor with a kind heart, had reminded him of that. In the end, two unlikely men, a CEO and a janitor, formed a bond of respect and friendship that would last a lifetime. And the story of the whisper that saved an empire became a legend at Kingston Enterprises. Message: sometimes, the smallest voices carry the loudest truths. Never judge a person by their position, because integrity and courage are worth more than any fortune.